Okay, here I am. I'm at the Abbey of Insalot, which is basically Marlfield, which translates to island of honey or milk, honey and milk, something to do with that, but it goes back centuries, this little abbey here. It's one of my favorite places. I lived next door for 3 years. So just to give you an idea, let's have a look here. This is the entrance now. It's one of my favorite spots. So I'll just take a walk through. And of course there's a great graveyard here. Some very interesting people in. So we'll just take a walk up here and I'll give you an idea what I do know about this church. It was built in 1802, between 1802 and 1805, and it was built on the foundation of the old church, and the old stonework was included in the new construction. And so the original abbey that was here dates back to the 11th century, to the time of the Crusaders. Now there's a Crusaders Grave here, which I'll show you as well. And it was like a retreat for the nuns and the monks, or anyone who stepped out of line or needed a little bit of time off or whatever, like a retreat. They were sent to this abbey, which I'll show you now. And in those days, all kinds of things were happening in the church, as you know, the Reformations, all kinds of changes, etc. And they had a bishop that was murdered here by, believe it or not, the nuns, in those days even. So it's got an interesting history, this place, very much so. I'll give you an idea. This was all open up now. On the left hand side here we have a graveyard here, and it seems the Catholics, oh no, this is the Protestant side, and there's like two separate sections here, one for the Catholics and one for the Protestants. I think the Catholics are in this graveyard here, which I'll show you here. See? And here itself is the church. There you go. Beautiful, eh? They have weddings here. I've been inside the church. It's quite interesting, really. It's Church of Ireland, of course. But remember, going back many years ago, after Henry VIII, he reformed the church and became Defender of the Faith and created Church of England. Well, then at the same time, Church of Ireland. So all the existing Catholic church were taken over by the English church. So this cemetery and church were actually originally Catholic, if that's anything good. Over here, let's give you an idea here. Over here is the Gough family plot, and all the Goughs are buried here. Give an idea what date is this one here. 1886. Thomas Gough, 70 years. And why I mention this family, they lived locally in Tipperary in Clonmel. There's one in 1830. I can see it quite right now. In the memory of Joseph O. Charles Higgins. And wait, I'm sure there's more Goughs here. Oh yes, at the back. Pretty overgrown at the moment. They won't say to we're keeping this pretty well. Anyway, getting back on the Gough family, inside the church, oh, there you go. There's Frederick Gough. And there's Elizabeth Mary Gough, died October 15th, 1935, aged 95. So they still lived to ripe ages even in those days. And this one is here's also Gough, Percy Gough, ESO, all, you know, to the crown, and a devoted family to the English Empire, so to speak. Catherine Fanny and Percy Gough. My will be done, rest in the Lord. And then there's Percy Gough down there, who died in 1909. Well, more about this family is that they're the only family that qualified for 3 crosses of courage. You know, the Victoria Cross was awarded to 3 in their family, the 2 brothers through the centuries and the 1 cousin, all Goughs, all qualified for Victoria Crosses, which is very noble, and that's very rare that you get 3 Victoria Crosses from the same parish. Another interesting here, I'll show you guys something here. If we go in here, this is one of the first graves that were discovered here, and it's actually very interesting. It is the the grave of a Crusader. Now obviously this was a flat stone before, but they picked it up, and you can see the inscription on it with his coat of arms. And these were the Crusaders, and when they'd come back from battle, from doing a long period away on service, and if they were wounded or whatever, they used to retire to these places and get buried here or get treated here. Now it's got a whole lot of writing. You see, 2 clicks. That'll do what? That did nothing. Okay, so we'll just go like so. I'll have to edit this really. Full circle and back up to the ground upwards. So it's about 7 foot tall. But I think it was wrong for them to put it against here, because the sword was much more prominent, or maybe I'm imagining things last time, but you can see the sword down the center and the Latin writing here on the left and right. And I think this has got something to do with Jesus, or the sign of Christianity, and the cross here, which is the top of the scabbard, the sword, and the sword end handle. So this tomb would be around about the 12th century, early 11th century, about 1,000 years old. And loads of nettles here. There we go. How's this for a cemetery? Have a look down here. We go down the pathway. Lots of flagstones here, markers, old graves, old bishops that were buried here. When I have more time, I'll come here and try and read the inscriptions. I need a torch so you can see here. Very hard to see what here. David something, but anyway, These slabs were actually originally in the original church and were removed when they redone the church in the early 1800s. Look, let's have a look over here. This is interesting. Another family thing. I think this is a doctor, a prominent doctor that was here many years ago. 1870. MD, yeah, William James Shear, MD, who died on this day, March 1870, age 73 years, and there's a whole lot that followed after him there. And that's his wife on the other side. And this was their separate little spot or plot. Quite nice. And we'll take a walk around over here. Please forgive me, I'm trying to get used to this machine as we go. Stabilizer. This is a hell of an oak tree. Look at the size of that thing. I'll try and get it up there. Look, that gives you an idea. That's an oak tree. A grave right underneath it. The headstone's gone. And I think we get to older ones going down here. You see, it's very hard to read things. I must get a brush and come back again and do a detailed one on each and every cemetery that I go to, or graveyard as such. But there you got like family vaults here as well. Goes to show you, eh? And just giving a span around here. This one's in 1822. That's really going back quite a while. 1830. The Byrne family, Kelly family, Whelan family, all from Albert Street, Clonmel. This should be an interesting one here. Sacred to the memory born in this parish. In Clonmel, March 1833, age 20 years. I can't read what's down at the bottom. I pray his triumph, this triumph, got out of Prof. I really can't read what that's saying. God the prophet, you do his soul, amen. So this is 1833. There's an even older one which is completely worn off with all the names. Let's just have a scan around here. You can see a lot of the tombstones are missing or just marked with markers or rocks. Here lie the remains of Jeremiah Carroll of Clonmel, who departed this life March the 2nd, 1836, aged 73 years. Also 3 of his children who died young. Also his wife Mary Carroll, who died this life January 1843, age 78 years. Requiescat in patrinem. I think that's just rest in peace. R.I.P. In Latin. And there's some very old tombs here. I mean, looking at this one here, we'd like to have a look at that, don't we? Beautiful to come here on a very sunny day. But as I say, it's one of the kind of like forgotten here, isn't it? But what a peaceful place. Yeah, I can't get in there. This is like a family vault here. Some of these places go underground, you know. They got steps going down and all kinds of things, and they have a family vault. This side of the graveyard is pretty empty. Well, it's not empty, it just doesn't have many tombstones that are still standing. And seems a standard here that all the maybe I've got it wrong, all the gravestones themselves face north, you know, with the writing on, with the inscriptions. Let's see who this is. All different families. James Fanning, Elizabeth Fanning, 1888, 1879, 1881. Oh, I'm running out of battery.